What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. In today's video, we're going to go over this brand new content drop from Plarium. It's going to be Norse Viking themed, and the name of this event is going to be called the Asgard Divide. So they've given us a bunch of details to go over, so let's go over all of that in this video. But first, I want to share with you guys this epic music that comes with this new event. Come on, guys. This music, doesn't it get you pumped up? Doesn't it get you pumped up? Anyways, let's jump right into it. All right, I'm just going to move my head here so it's a bit easier to read and stuff. So it's called the Asgard Divide, and basically it's a limited time event that will involve some already well-known game mechanics. There's going to be a loyalty program with a new champion. Loyalty program, that's great. Dedicated tournament, themed champions, and a new gear set that will be obtainable in the first ever event dungeon. So that is probably what they teased with that placeholder in the dungeon stages. It's going to be called an event dungeon. So this is similar to what I had in mind. It's like a one-time themed dungeon. Perhaps it stays there forever, and perhaps future events will actually go into this special event dungeon. It's not going to be something that would be permanently farmed, for example, that people were speculating, but it's more so for special events, which is pretty cool. It's a little bit different, right? Anyways, there's going to be 4 gods: Loki, Thor, Odin, Freya. So those are going to be the 4 champions that will be 4 gods turned into raid champions. I think this is a little bit of, I feel like these are like the low-hanging fruits. I think they're pretty safe. Obviously, everybody knows Loki, Thor, Odin. Freya, obviously lesser known, but still a big name in the mythology. But they could have done something a little bit different, but I think they went pretty safe with these big name gods, obviously. The duration of the campaign starts on the 12th, so that's when all the promo stuff you started to see on Twitter, Facebook, whatever. The start date of the campaign is August 21st. So that's going to be next Wednesday. That's when this campaign will be starting, and the end date will be October 24th. So just about 5 weeks for everything to be done, similar to the other promo with like Adlin and like Ninja, roughly same period of time, about 6 weeks, month and a half or so. The end of the loyalty program, this one is probably for the free champion. It's going to be November 22nd, so a bit more time there as well. So yeah, anyways, those are the dates for us that are important. Obviously, some deadlines and some things to pay attention to, mainly the loyalty program. So if you guys are going for that free loyalty program champion, definitely make sure you guys are aware of this November 22nd deadline. Quick story time here. So basically, Loki's long-term goal is to bring about the total removal of the god's involvement. Blah, blah, blah. He feels like unfreezing the waters of life can cause a disturbance of power. They're in Teleria. Freya knows of this plan from Loki, so she tells Odin. Odin tells Thor, you gotta stop him. Therefore, Thor's like, yes, we're gonna do it. And that's kind of like the gist of the lore that Raid has put into this. But hey, it's kind of interesting that they seek to free the Fire Knight. I'm not sure what that means. Is Fire Knight like a almighty superior being that can defeat Odin? I'm not too sure. But yeah, so that's the lore in Raid is pretty loose, to be honest, and it feels like it's written not really, it's not too deeply entrenched in lore or anything like that. So but that's the story for Loki. If you guys want to give it a read, definitely just pause the video here. All right, so here is the good stuff. So they're basically giving us 4 champions, or there will be 4 champions, sorry, in this themed event. So number 1, obviously that one looks like Loki. Number 2, we see the hammer, it looks like Thor. Number 3, that's going to be Freya. And number 4, we can only presume that is Odin. So there'll be 4 legendary champions, and then we have the dates there. How? 14-day loyalty program, and then other in-game events and activities. So they don't really specify exactly what it is, but based on what we've seen from the Monster Hunter event that we saw earlier this year in January, there could be anything. And I remember the Monster Hunter events were really, really bad in the way that they did not give very good ways for people to get it, get some of the champions. So I remember they were quite taxing. In some case, for example, like the champion training tournament for the archer. In one case, they were saying that Fatalis would have been, limited release for a 10x Void event, and then people went crazy for the Void Charge trying to get Fatalis. And then they announced that Fatalis was part of a guaranteed champion for a Deck of Fate. So, just kind of stuff like that. Just be aware that, things can change on a whim. But definitely expect a Deck of Fate, a Hero's Path, maybe a Champions Training, maybe a Champ Chase, winner-take-all style to get these champions. Don't expect them to come easily. And yeah, expect the unexpected from Plarium. So that's all I'm going to say in terms of a warning here. Champions, here's a big bit of news here. Champions will be available to acquire during and after the event activation. So this is going to be different than the Monster Hunter event, where the Monster Hunter event was basically you get it by this time or it's gone. At least these champions will be in the game, obviously because these are created by Plarium and not from a certain IP or anything. So they will be in the game permanently, which is good to see, and it kind of reduces like the FOMO and stuff like that from people. So yeah, we'll be seeing these champions in the future, so that's good. All right, guys, quick note here that each one of these champions are right here. So we got Loki here, Freya, Thor, and then Odin. Each one of them have a special background. Sorry, I'll move my head, and then you gotta get a sneak peek of Odin right here. Each one of them have a special background, similar to like how your Carl has a special background. So yeah, they all have the Viking backgrounds, which is cool. And as expected, like from the visuals that they gave us, we have the shield here, the stone here, and then the emblem on the bottom, and then we have the ship and the northern lights in the background. So pretty cool aesthetically speaking. All right, so quickly moving into the character breakdown. So this is some of the juicy part here. We also get to see them in their renders here. So they look obviously very rough warrior like. They got the red hair, very cool, right? I think aesthetically they look good together. I remember when I looked at Loki when he was first revealed, he didn't look that good. Didn't really strike me that well with just his look. But I think looking at them together, I think he looks good together with them. But anyways, we have Loki the Deceiver here. They're all barbarians. Unfortunately, I'll move my head somewhere here. I'll move my head here, I guess. But yeah, so they're all barbarians, which kind of sucks because now you're jamming 4 characters into the barbarian faction, which was not really a faction that needed more barbarians, but sure. You have Loki, who's a Spirit Affinity support champion. You have Thor, which is a Magic Affinity attack champion. Freya, which is a Force Affinity defense champion. Likely something similar to Valkyrie, to be honest. I would expect her to be similar to Valkyrie. Valkyrie's already like a Force defense champion. And then you have Odin here, who's going to be the Void support champion. Very cool. How they're one of each affinity, and of course Odin is the Void here, so that's pretty cool to see. All right, guys, so here's the big thing that we all care about. How do we get the free champion? Here is Loki doing his daily mewing, getting the jawline of a god, of course. No need to hide his face with his mask because his face looks awesome. But anyways, here's the loyalty program here. We got 14-day loyalty program. You get a 2-star blessing at the end of it, so that's not going to be as good as the Adlin chase where you get the 5-star blessing from Adlin, but you get the 2-star blessing here for Loki after 14 days. You can get the champion after 7 days. So yeah, obviously keep in mind to try to position this in a way where you can pick up some CVC points or champion chase points, of course, with the withdrawal of this champion. Keep in mind, like I said, the loyalty program ends in November 22nd, so you can definitely save this for more than 7 days. So yeah, after that 7 days and then 14 days you get the 2-star soul for him, and then we're gonna have like some extra ways to collect a little bit extra rewards. I can't imagine this to be like insane amounts of rewards or anything, but we get a little bit of extra here. It's nice of them to drop that in with us. Get some perception gear along the way just so you can gear up your Loki. Quick skill description here. Strikes all enemies with a chance to increase the duration of their debuffs. So debuff extension. Targets an ally or an enemy to heal or place debuffs respectively. Has a chance of stealing an enemy's buffs and turn meter. Also increases ally attack. That's kind of cool actually, not too bad. Hides under a veil has a chance to evade enemy skills. Cool, right? Matches the theme of Loki very well, I think. All right, here's the other big thing we all care about. How good is Loki the Deceiver? Well, we don't know how good he is right now. We don't get to play test him, but we get his kit right here. We can go over a quick look of it. I haven't looked at it yet, so we'll get a real-time reaction for myself. And yeah, let's dive right into it. I mean, he's a spirit-based support champion, Loki the Deceiver. His A1 attacks all enemies. That's great right off the bat. 30% chance of increasing the duration of all enemy debuffs. If this champion is under Veil or Perfect Veil, the debuff in the extension will increase to 50%. So 30 to 50%, and then you got 2 books up to 50 or 70%. Debuff extension, I mean, it can be okay. Debuff extension, it's good for like clan boss. It can be good for clan boss, like you're extending like Geomancer, for example. Obviously against Hydra, it can be okay, but I wouldn't think it's kind of like too insane. Like increasing duration on Hex, for example, can be pretty decent. Just because sometimes Hex falls off and you don't always apply it. So that can be kind of useful. And of course, it's just a good move in AoE already, so it's just a good move. His A2, Deceiver's Gambit 4 turn, down to 3 turns. 3 books in here. If the target is an enemy, has a 75% chance of placing block active skills and block buffs on for 2 turns. If the champion uses the skill under Veil or Perfect Veil, also applies the debuff spread. Okay, so you're placing block active skills and block buffs and debuff spread, taking 2 random debuffs from the target and placing them on all enemies. Okay, 2 random debuffs. Okay. If the target is an ally, heals them by 50%. Okay, so the second part of this, and places Perfect Veil on them for 2 turns. So a heal and Perfect Veil. If this champion is under Veil, also applies debuff spread. So you could, if Loki is under Veil, he can basically heal and Veil your entire team for 2 turns. Okay. Okay. You need books in this to make this 100%. Seems kind of interesting. The block active skills, block buffs is similar to like to Honorok, where she does a decrease attack and then block buffs and then the spread. The spread is interesting because it's a 2 random debuffs, so it's not it's not for certain that you get the block buffs, making to Honorok not the best for like auto Hydra play, for example. Harunak is one of the better block buff Hydra champions, but she's not good for auto. She's also void, which means she can't weak hit. So Loki here can actually weak hit this, which kind of sucks. But it's kind of nice that he has 2 parts to his ability, which makes it obviously situationally probably better than Harunak, because Harunak only has 1 way to use her move, but Loki has 2 ways, which is pretty good, gives you more options. His A3 Bandit Flash, 5 turn down to 4 turn. Okay, this move better be good. 4 turn cooldown. Has a 100% chance when booked, chance of stealing all buffs from 1 enemy and 100% of their turn meter. Okay, so okay. These effects cannot be resisted if this champion is under Veil or Perfect Veil. Okay, if the target's turn meter was not stolen, if the target's turn meter was not stolen, fill the turn meter of all allies by 15% instead. Also places 50% increased attack on all allies. So, how does a target's turn meter not get stolen? If it gets resisted, I guess. But it says these effects cannot be resisted. Oh, cannot be resisted if it's under Perfect Veil. Okay, so if, let's say for example, he's not under Perfect Veil, you do that, and the turn meter fails, then your team gets a boost. But let's say that his initial move works, then it's just a steal from 1 enemy, and then 100% of turn meter from 1 enemy. And then increase attack for 4 turn. I'm not too sure about this one. I'm not too sure about this one. I feel like there should be no condition almost. Anyways, I'm not seeing it right now. I'm not seeing it, guys. His passive, Mist Step. 4-turn cooldown on a passive. Okay. So his passive effect places Perfect Veil on this champion for 2 turns at the start of each round. Oh, snap. Oh, snap. Suddenly he becomes really good. Also places Perfect Veil on this champion for 1 turn whenever their HP drops below 50%. Okay, so that means he's gonna just always have it then. Pretty much. Has a 15% chance to evade an enemy skill and all of its accompanying effects. If this champion is under a veil or perfect veil buff, the chance to evade increases to 30%. Okay, 15% to evade. I assume evade just means he just dodges everything. So an enemy skill and its effects. So he just takes no damage against. 15% chance he takes nothing. Okay, and it increases to 30%. If this champion's HP is below, so this is active skill, this has the cooldown. If it's below 50%, when targeted by an enemy skill, has a 100% chance to evade that skill and all of its accompanying effects. This guarantee evade then goes on cooldown. Okay, how long does the evade go for? It doesn't mention anything about the new evade mechanic anywhere. So, I mean, this makes him very difficult to kill. First of all, he's under perfect veil. Second of all, he has all this stuff that allows him to basically take no damage, no effects. Yeah, I mean, his passive is really strong. His passive is really strong unless you basically just have AoE to nuke the whole team. Very, very strong passive in my opinion. I think his kit doesn't really seem super good. He has like some effects here where he can steal turn meter, steal buffs, buff your whole team with attack, but he doesn't give turn meter to your team unless, you know, the 100% is resisted, for example. And then his A2 has the block active skill, block buffs, and then the debuff spread or team buff plus team spread. It's okay. It's nothing too crazy. It's okay. Block buffs can be good for Hydra. Block active skills, not so much. The Veil can be good for Hydra, of course, to deal with Torment. So this could be an answer just to Torment. This could be an answer for people struggling in Torment. And, you know, it's going to be a free champion. He takes 10 books, which is reasonable, but not super cheap. His A1's pretty good, so he's going to be a decent candidate for like a Curse or a Provoke set as well, if you need him for that. And you know what? Like it's not too bad. Not too bad. He does need accuracy, unfortunately, I think. If the champion is using takes 2 random buffs. Yeah, he does need accuracy. He doesn't need accuracy for his bandit flash, because if he's under veil, then these don't get resisted, but his A2 does need accuracy. So it's kind of lame that he does need some accuracy. He does bring 60 accuracy in all battles, which is solid, especially for newer accounts, since he's free. So not too bad for a free champion, I think, but he's not anything critical, like critically insane. But yeah, I think definitely not too bad of a champion, at least on first glance anyways. We have to playtest him first. All right, and lastly, we do have a sneak peek at the event dungeon mechanics. So the event dungeon is a brand new game mechanic aiming at diversifying the player's gaming experience during the event. The event dungeon will only be available during the Asgard Divide campaign with Odin Feyfather as the dungeon boss. So Odin will be the boss in this dungeon. Features 30 stages, normal difficulty with difficulty rising each stage. There will be no waves, only a boss battle. But beware, Odin Feyfather won't be alone, but will be joined by mighty warriors, unique for each stage of the dungeon. The event dungeon will be available for players 6 and higher. Start date will be the 21st of August. End date will be October 24th. So I guess we have a farmable dungeon, up to 30 stages, I guess. Similar to Doom Tower, but instead of fighting waves, you're probably just fighting bosses over and over. There must be a limit to how often we can, you know, attack this dungeon. Perhaps we're getting keys per day, I could see. Perhaps it costs energy per day. We don't know right now. But there's 30 stages, and they say there's rising difficulty. Maybe there's restrictions on what we can bring in. It doesn't list anything about how Odin fights or what his skills are or anything like that. And it doesn't list anything about how many of his allies will come in. You see some glowing allies in the back. It's possible he brings all 4 in, and it's just going to be a hot mess in here. But we can only speculate what he will do. It's very interesting. I like to see this. I like to see like somebody mentioned it's nice to see like a gauntlet style. Like you kind of just like go through the levels, go through the waves till you reach the final stage. Hopefully they give us some pretty good gear. The gear set is good for this, just to put the cherry on top of this event. So far, aesthetically, I think everything looks pretty good. Loki looks like a pretty decent free champion for everybody, so that's really good to see. Would be really interesting to see the kits on Thor, Freya, and Odin, but we don't have the info right now, so this is going to be it for what we got to share with you guys for today. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think about everything. Do you guys like this event? Will you guys be participating? Obviously, if you guys remember the Monster Hunter event from January, it was a little bit, the reception was a little bit kind of wishy-washy. Some people really liked it because they like Monster Hunter, but the events were very difficult. The Titan event for the 5-star Xenogear soul was kind of stupid, like stupidly expensive, to be honest, just for a 5-star soul for that champion, of course. And obviously, there's a couple bad practice, bad playing practices with the events and all that stuff. So what do you guys think about all this? Do you guys like these kind of events? Personally, I think it's pretty good, something new, fresh. Maybe this takes place over a fusion. That'd be kind of cool, maybe. Hopefully they don't put a fusion over this, but they might. So who knows? Anyways, guys, like I said, that's going to be it for the video. Let me know in the comments below. Any new info, I'll definitely drop it for you guys in another video in the future. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.